think that's instructive for talking about him coming into this year, Andy, because like you said, maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle there. But if it's somewhere in the middle there, that's a very good starting quarterback. And to me, I lean more towards the pot. Like, I think just because of the experience he's getting and the ecosystem that he's in, I lean more towards the positive side with Jordan Love specifically. But I hear your point that like maybe he's not. I think he's definitely not the player of the first 8 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
But again, 8.5 adjusted yards per attempt, that would make him like kind of near that elite quarterback territory.
Yeah, I really should have said somewhere in between, because I'm not suggesting that we just split the difference and he's, right. he's the exact middle between his first half and his second half. I definitely think it shades toward what we saw in the second half of the season. Again, like he got like those are really good defenses that he faced in the postseason too, and he still looked like a great quarterback. Like there wasn't anything fluky about that. And I'm sure obviously Packers fans love himself disappointed about the way the season ended in what was honestly a winnable game against the Niners. But to be able to go punch for punch with the Niners was plenty impressive based on, again, where we were on Jordan Love in October. Just a while, the great bit of coaching. You tip your hat to LaFleur for the player development experience there. The receiver development experience there. I don't know, that team just got better. That's just absolutely great coach. That is coach of the year stuff right there.
I agree with you. So 8.5 adjusted yards per attempt would put him third in the NFL last year, ahead of MVP Lamar Jackson. It would put him just behind Brock Purdy at 9.9 and CJ Stroud at 8.7. So yeah, I think, but I think that's the sort of ballpark we're hitting in now with Jordan Love because of everything that you said. It was a great coaching experience for Matt LaFleur last year, and I think that's why I believe that this can be sticky. And I think that, look, if let's just say one of those receivers has this is what happened last year. One of those receivers has kind of a letdown season, right? Like Christian Watson, he didn't get off to a good start last year. It's and he starts missing time. It's oh, well, we've got all these other guys to throw at it. Yep. I think that makes me even more bullish on Love this year. But so just sort of to recap before we start kind of discussing about this year's candidates, I think what we learned from Jordan Love is, number one, the absence of evidence is not negative evidence, if that makes sense, right? Like, we hadn't seen him play a ton. That doesn't mean that he was not good, right? Especially in his specific circumstance where he's playing behind an MVP quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. They started to kind of let that out that oh yeah, him missing minicamp last summer the last summer that Rodgers was there was kind of the reason they started to get more and more bullish on Jordan Love. Oh yeah, we're starting to see more and more in him from a practice standpoint that we think he could be ready for this. So the absence of evidence is not necessarily negative evidence. I think also projecting growth for young quarterbacks is going to be important when we talk about these next players, at least to me. And then the final thing is, I say it all the time. I've already said it, and I'll say it again. Ecosystem matters so much, right? The way that they were able to scheme things up in Green Bay last year, and they with LaFleur kind of, I think, having a little bit of the shackles taken off with Rodgers being gone and allowing him to do more of just what he wanted to do on offense, that mattered. But just those layups that Jordan Love would get with Jaden Reed or even Watson at certain again, I'm not trying to bang on Watson here, but taking that guy out of the offense who was being used in kind of a way that I didn't love, where it was all downfield stuff. And then our featured player is Jaden Reed on these layup targets. That made things so easy for Jordan Love. And I think helped him pick up the momentum down the stretch to then he's pushing these high degree of difficulty throws to Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Doubs in the playoffs. That confidence building, I think, is important. So to me, those are kind of the three things we're looking for when we're projecting who is this year's version of Jordan Love.
He also, to Love's credit, Aaron Jones is one of the best receiving backs that we've seen in the last 10 years, and he didn't have him available for much of the season, right? So
True.
those would have been, the numbers that you get via Aaron Jones are just cheap and easy yards and completions, right? And that was not, I'm sure that was part of the first half story as well, right? Aaron Jones missing a ton of games, and even when he played, he was compromised and seemed like he was on a snap count and all that. So. And then Jones was great at the end of the season, certainly great in the playoffs too. But playing without him, who was surely going to be a foundational piece of the offense, those were significant headwinds early on.